Do you know what was really funny? He had, I can't remember what year this was. He had Andrew Sullivan on, and what they were going to talk about is why you have to vote for Trump and not Hillary. So it was like probably 2015 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I was not going to vote for Trump. There was no way in hell. And I had not made up my mind whether I was going to vote for Hillary or not because I can't stand her. And so they did this thing where like Andrew Sullivan, conservative, and they were going to talk about why you have to vote for Hillary. And so Andrew Sullivan comes on and he goes, before I talk about why you can't vote for Trump and vote for Hillary, I got to tell you how much I hate Hillary. And he spends 20 minutes. And when he was done, I was done. He dude, you convinced me I will never vote for Hillary. It was like the opposite. Like he wasn't even aware that he had just convinced everybody that Hillary was worse. But they were trapped in this world, yes. And they didn't know. They didn't even see it. And the thing is, I agree with everybody who says that Trump's personality is obnoxious and arrogant. I don't care. I don't have to love the guy. I'm not going on a vacation with him. Right? The fact is, I wouldn't want to work for Trump. Like I feel like he might be the worst boss ever, but at the same time, that's why he would be your great lawyer. So I look at Trump always as America's lawyer. So it's like he has all this energy, right? All this energy that was out for himself, and then he turns 70 something, and he decides it's still for me, but now I'm an agent for this country. So all of this obnoxiousness and arrogance and all this, like, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to wear you down. Trump's whole strategy and negotiation is simply wearing people down. That's a great president to have on your side. So I always looked at him as like, oh, he's my agent. He's America's agent. So believe me, you don't want to hang out with your agent. You don't want to hang out with your lawyer. But God, let me put it this way. If you love hanging out with your lawyer, he's not a good lawyer. He's not a good lawyer.
That's right.
But if he drives you crazy, he drives them crazy. And that's important. So that's why I always looked at his flaws as being the thing that makes him the best president you could have. He drives everybody crazy.
So, like, when you read pieces in National Review, for instance, which is oftentimes the source of great wisdom. We've had some of those guys on the podcast. I think Charlie Cook is
great,
amazing.
Yeah, excellent on guns.
I mean,
and he's British.
He's British, and he's got his head screwed on straight with the skilled trades. There's a lot of good stuff over there, but sometimes I feel like it's the Sam Harris effect, where maybe some of the prevailing orthodoxy and the inertia that has always driven that organ has kept them from seeing that something really fundamental and almost primal has changed.
Yeah.
We have a new set of rules. It's like we just went from base 10 to base 8 with numbers. And nothing adds up quite the same way. So when Sam basically makes the argument that, look, this is not a time for skepticism. We have to trust our experts. It makes me go, that's weird, because I'm thinking this is a time for heightened skepticism at a whole new level. And what we really have, Greg, is an opportunity for our experts, for guys like Sam, for social scientists and mathematicians and doctors of every stripe, real experts to step back and make a persuasive case for whatever the case is.
Yeah,
I don't
and
care
they won't.
if we're talking about vaccines, right? And they won't
do it. They will
that scares me.
What they will do was, and they're on Twitter, is that they'll remind you of their CV. Yeah, their CV.
You bet.
And I'm wondering, I'm going to ask you this question and see if you come up with the same name. Who is the worst, most pretentious and pompous expert on Twitter? I'm going to give you his initials and see. TN. Does that ring any bells?
TN. Well, see, I I don't go on Twitter.
That's why you're so healthy and vigorous. You look like you walked out of a Viagra ad from your like 66 Impala. You just parked on the side of the road in Vegas. There's like a vulture over there.
I had to walk sideways out of that thing.
Yeah, and there's like you're with the blonde who's 30 years younger, and you're like, there's a saloon. You have a guitar.
TN.
You have a guitar in the back seat, and you're wearing.
You can check out anytime you want.
Yes. Tom Nichols. Does that ring a bell?
Okay.
Tom Nichols?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so he's always on there. He will always take the side of the expert, and then when you question him on it, he will always throw back like, "Well, I'm just, I'm just an expert. What do I know? I mean, like, and you're just some."
Right.
And he will like look at whatever somebody does for a living. And go, well, you're just a comedian. He just did that to.
I was just about to say, have you ever done that? I mean, I've done that. All shucks, I'm just a host.
Yeah.
All shucks.
Yeah.
Jon Stewart did that for a long time
Yeah.
until finally, me and some other people just kind of publicly said, dude, face it. You might not like it, but you woke up one day and now a lot of people are listening to you. So you can call yourself a comedian. You can call yourself an avatar or a cipher or some avuncular uncle, but whatever it is, you've got people listening to you.
Right.
And right?
Yeah.
So I mean, do you feel that
Well,
now
the thing is, I think my critics will agree with me when I say I'm not a comedian. I'm not. I mean, like, you got to look at my experience. I was an editor. I edited Prevention. I write about it in my book. I did my entire career span. I was fitness editor of Prevention magazine. Their first fitness editor. Then I went to Men's Health. I was their creative director, and then their editor. Went to Stuff, and then I went to Maxim, and then I got onto the Huffington Post. I never was on stage. I never told jokes. I don't have that skill set. So when people go, "You're just a comedian," I'm not even that. But you get pulled in. The thing is, I think, and what was interesting about the 5 versus Red Eye, at 3 a.m., I was just this person. But on the 5, I was like forced to like, okay, I have to say, and when the 5 first started, the reason why I did really well on it was because I would sit there and go, what are these people, what have they not said? And so I pretended when I would sit on the table that I was at home. And I was frustrated. And I go like, okay, this person's outraged. This person's doubly outraged. This person's giving the other side. This person's being diplomatic. I have to say what people are saying at home or predict what they are thinking or what they might think. And it's usually what I'm thinking. And so what happened is I became kind of like a fool. I always feel that I am the traditional fool, which is like ha ha ha, but this is actually truth, and I think that works. I think on social media, there's a lot of people out there that are doing this now. Scott Adams has this phrase called "internet dads." I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but there are people that are actually who aren't comedians or aren't experts who are persuading people and there's so many interesting people out there that I find like we've given them a platform and they're actually helping people. Some of them people hate, some, whatever, but it's like whatever you did before matters less than the ideas that you have now, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, sure. Look, man, it's that movie that I couldn't watch, but won a bunch of awards. Everything All at Once
Oh my God.
the same time.
I watched that.
It's that thing.
I pretended that I loved that movie because I was so interested.
I did too, man.
Because I'm into simulations. I'm into multiple universes. Yeah. But I'm going, okay, this is 3 hours long, and it's giving me a headache because so much shit's flying at me.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. I think it should have been 90 minutes, and it would have been amazing.
It's probably like this podcast. By the way, when you have to go or if you get bored, say something subtle like "I've got to go and I'm very bored."
I'm not bored, but I do have to go because I have my family here and I have to eat.
I know.
I have my family and my dog, and also I'm beginning to get a little slurry. And
look.
You know what I mean?
I'm like trying to help you, brother.
Yes.
I'm trying to help you. And I'll tell you another thing about Trump.
Yeah,
Tom Nichols.
I got you.
Son of a bitch.
Wait till you hear my ideas on race.
Roger Ailes. And here's.
How about about these women drivers? No, I'm kidding.
So look,
they're great. Women drivers are the best. That's why they have lower insurance rates. Huh? You sexists. They have lower insurance rates. Sexist, if you thought what I was going to say. Sexist.
I heard you, to your point, on Corolla not too long ago, and you write about it in your excellent book, too, which I'm about to fillet. Stand by. You know, he was kind of pushing back on you a little bit in the opposite way. Like when Jon Stewart was all about, oh, look, no, I'm just a comedian.
Right.
They're just jokes. He was saying to you, hey, man, you really are the king of late night. You actually did it. Now, some people, like your friend, what's his name? Is it Ben Long, the writer?
Rob Long.
Rob Long, yeah.
Rob. Yeah. So he's like, is Greg so big, or did everybody else get so small? Like, right? What's really happening? You know, which was kind of partially, you know, is a backhanded compliment, but he loves you, so you know it was.
No, now that you said that, he's dead to me.
Sorry, Rob.
Yes.
But Adam's point was you were doing the opposite thing. You're like, oh shucks, you know, I'm just an old editor who's a writer, and I did some stuff, but now you're actually on top of Crap Mountain.
Yes.
You did it.
Yeah.
You're there. And so, are you a comedian? Are you going to start thinking differently of yourself in that way?
I thought Adam was really persuasive on that point because we were talking about how I was doing my live shows. And I have, so I sit and Tom Shalhoub interviews me, a crutch. I have slides, a crutch. Yeah. Comedians don't, the comedian doesn't have crutches. And he told me, he goes, when he started out, he did the same thing. And then I guess the slide projector broke down and he was forced to do it himself. And it was the best thing for him. So I have actively like shrunk the slide stuff and made the just me out there standing. The idea of standing in front of an audience was terrifying to me. My leg would shake. But then I got used to it because the slides are in my head. And I guess, I mean, I don't see myself as a comedian simply because what I'm doing every night is I'm running a meeting. And all of what these shows are me sitting in an editorial meeting, going over stories. And this is what I've been doing for almost 30 years, I guess, was sitting with people that I like and going, what do you think of this story about AI sex bots? And everybody's talking and blah, 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 and I say funny things. It's just what I've been, I guess the point is there's no differential, is that the word, difference between my life and what I'm doing. So I'm not a comedian because a comedian would shut that off. I'm like, I am literally doing this all the time. I drive my friends crazy. I drive my family crazy. I drive my dog crazy.
I have to interrupt.
You're a gadfly with an audience.
I have to interrupt and say that
that
you are a comedian because on October 17th, I was watching your show, 2022, and I texted this to Mike, this joke that you said. You said rent, gas prices, childcare, those are the issues that matter most to the average voter. Meanwhile, Dems are busy insisting your school needs a safe space for female athletes to shave their balls. Now, that's very funny.
Yes.
That's funny. That's funny. But
and
if
visual.
I may,
and visual.
And by way of contrast, this episode, by the way, brought to you by Manscaped. I'll get back to that in a moment. But you know, so this book, and I just want to make this quick point because people who love you, and there are literally dozens of them, I know, you know, they do want your voice. They are used to your cadence, your patter, and the self-referential, constantly letting the air out of your own tire. And this book does that. The crazy thing is, Greg, I mean, I'm just not blowing smoke. There's so many great points in it, but in almost every paragraph, you just take a little air out of the tire, except for this one, page 221. To summarize the after party, which is a conversation for another time, it's a place for red-pilled grown-ups to be honest about the world without worrying about being ruined for it. Mm-hmm. We are outside this duopoly, and the media industrial complex. We see the world for what it is. We don't play team sport politics. We play for the bigger reward, enlightenment. And that is the most earnest thing
I've ever said.
I've ever heard you say or write. And I know that, like me and Travis McGee, you are wary of all earnestness. And that's where we land the plane. I can't wait to see how you're going to balance these seemingly dichotomous forces in your life, to be self-referential and funny and subversive, and at the same time grapple with stuff that really and truly, impacts you and your wife and your dog and your goldfish and even these other knuckleheads on the front of your book who are grabbing onto your well-muscled thigh, wondering what's going to happen next.
Yes. Well, I appreciate that. I think that the meaning that message is about really sharing the risk. Right? Like, aren't we all supposed to share the risk? So if you get in trouble, I back you up. If I get in trouble, you back me up. And I think that, like, that was the pushback on all of this woke stuff, is that when you saw somebody getting canceled, it ain't right. And I think that, like, that was it's all I was doing. I was watching people get canceled left and right. And my thing, I got to step out of this. And we all have to, like, it was another book I was going to write called Share the Risk. But I just made that into a chapter because I'm lazy. See, there I go.
Congratulations on the book, man.
Thank you, Mikey.
Honestly, it's been so fun to watch, even though I crapped the bed on that interview on Red Eye all those years ago. I'll make it up to you next time I'm in town.
Please do.
If you want me.
Oh, of course.
If you want me,
Of
I'll
course.
be there.
Are you kidding? Just dress like you're dressed now.
Unfortunately,
you
though,
little Marlboro man.
I'm not wearing
you'll
any
have to
pants.
do every other show
Even
on
better.
Fox when you do it. Though.
Yes.
Let me show you something.
If they find out you're here, you're going to be doing outnumbered 1, outnumbered 2, everything.
Ice on my
Just
back.
don't do Jesse.
My back out.
Don't do Jesse.
No, I won't do Jesse. I won't. What? Amazon pre-orders, wherever books are sold, the normal stuff?
It'll be live. This episode drops the day that book drops. So
Yeah, it'll be
good.
out.
The 25th.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Buy.
Oh,
It's a
man,
great.
you got a good manager.
You know what?
Good.
It's a great Father's Day gift for next year. So if you want to plan ahead, like all the Christmas, Arbor Day. It's a great gift for Arbor Day. Also, Labor Day. I always get confused between Labor and Memorial. This is the best Labor Day gift for all the laborers.
Yeah.
There you go.
And Lamaze.
If you or someone you know has labored, get this book.
Lamaze instructors will love this book.
One day somebody's going to get that brain out of your head and do some sort of biopsy or whatever they do, and we're going to learn all sorts of things about Gutfeld with an exclamation point. That's a big deal too, isn't it? That's a whole chapter.
Yeah, it is.
I wrote
love
about that because it was like people gave me so much shit for that, and I go like, I don't care. It was originally going to be called The World Screams Gutfeld, and then I thought I'll shorten it. Then I shortened it to Gutfeld.
Are you familiar, last question,
Sure.
with the interrobang?
That sounds familiar.
As a writer, I went on a campaign a few years ago to try and get this more widely introduced into the lexicon, but it's an actual symbol. You can Google it. It's part exclamation point and part question mark.
Ooh.
And so you use it to express mixed feelings.
I like
There
that.
It is. Yeah. So it's like, yes, we're surprised, but underneath it is this level of curiosity that leads one to say, but why? Why did this? How could this have happened?
Yes.
Which really,
That's life.
I would have loved to have seen the interrobang after your name, or after Dirty Jobs. It would have worked too.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that's something. Why? How? Thanks, Greg Gutfeld.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
I'll see you soon, I hope.
You will. Don't hang up yet. We have to upload this thing
Sure.
by some sort of magical
All right, can I
crap.
get up
But anyway,
and eat my dinner?
Yeah, you can go about your life. Scratch Gus and say hello to the wife and thank them both. For,
You got it,
for
buddy.
their patience.
Thanks, Chuck. Good
Thank you.
time.
Adios, my friend.
See ya.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye. That was fun.